Hello and welcome to IB Times TV. I'm Jessica Minton, and today I'm joined by IB Times reporter Alexander Kaufman to talk about his magazine piece that's highlighting the concept too big to fail and what exactly this now means for cities such as Detroit, who just filed for bankruptcy. So Alexander, in your article, it's interesting because you highlighted a point that bankers met about a month ago. And when polled, 68% of them still said they believe taxpayer-backed bailouts would remain that go-to option if we were in another financial crisis. What exactly does this say for us now, going back to 2008? Has anything really changed?
Well, criticism of the TARP program and of the concept of too big to fail has ballooned since 2008. So that has changed. What hasn't really changed is, really anyone's solutions for dealing with this. Even now, you have Christine Lagarde, the IMF chief, and the vice chairwoman of the U.S. Fed, who is seeming like the likely candidate to take over for Bernanke. You have them, really just putting out a lot of rhetoric saying that there has to be something done to get rid of too big to fail, but really not illustrating any concrete ways that it can be dealt with. So I think that a lot of these bankers, while many of them may disagree with the idea of government-backed bailouts for large banks, they don't really know what else will happen. I mean, if there is a contagion like that in the financial system, as there was in 2008, you have to do something before it makes everything collapse in a series of dominoes falling.
Also in your article, you point out that CEO of JP Morgan, Jamie Dimon, he said it was the Fed that basically asked him to do them a favor and go ahead and buy Bear Stearns. Mm-hmm. So when you have Wall Street and the government always interconnecting, doesn't this continue to happen? Aren't we going to continue to see this for years to come?
Sure. Well, we have these large financial institutions that are, incredibly linked with the national economy as a whole. So if one falls, you're going to see a lot of smaller things fall. So one of the main arguments or one of the main proposals has been that you break up these large banks to prevent them being as necessary to the U.S. economy as this is. Whether or not the relationship between the government and Wall Street moving forward is negative, I don't really want to judge that, but but it is something that we'll have to see.
Now, where exactly did the term too big to fail come from, and why do small banks not like that?
Well, it came from a congressman back in the early 80s. It was around 1984 when one of the largest banks at the time, Continental Illinois, went under. It failed. And that's at the time that this congressman, his name escapes me right now, coined the term too big to fail, that the bank was too large to allow to go under. And since then, that has really just remained a buzz phrase, especially since 2008.
Now, what exactly does this mean for Detroit now that they are filing for bankruptcy?
For Detroit, that's unclear. I mean, the council that oversees the implementation of the Dodd-Frank bill, which legalized the bailout in 2008, they've extended the definition of what constitutes something that's too big to fail beyond financial institutions. So technically, a city could count. A lot of left-leaning press, I know I've seen articles in magazines like Mother Jones, have been pushing for the allowance of a bailout for Detroit, claiming Detroit is a more important asset to the United States than AIG. But that it remains to be seen how that will be dealt with.
Well, Alexander, thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you for having me.